Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the voice of the Bison, Dan Michaels.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome to this beautiful facility and the 2022 Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. My name is Dan Michaels, and I am very proudly the stadium announcer for North Dakota State football and men's and women's basketball. When one thinks about the dream come true, that is to be gifted enough to play your sport at this level, and then gifted enough even to play at North Dakota State University, that in itself is an amazing accomplishment. But to have left such a mark upon the athletic landscape, whether your expertise is athletics, administration, or elsewhere, to have your peers and admirers nominate and elect you into this prestigious hall, to be remembered throughout all history that you entered the arena and that you dared greatly. Today, your induction into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame means that a part of you will live forever, and your example left to influence all those yet to come. This is a great honor. Congratulations to those about to enter this most elite and esteemed club. It's at this time that I would like to introduce Jeff Curtis from NDSU's Fellowship of Christian Athletes to deliver today's invocation. Jeff?
Good afternoon. What a special opportunity this event is to celebrate some of our Bison family and to really lift up that motto, once a Bison, always a Bison. This really is a special family, and it's an honor to pray with all of you as we kick things off. At this time, would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, there's so much to celebrate today, and yet we humble ourselves and our achievements by first having this moment of prayer. You tell us in the book of Psalms to be still and know that you are God. But as you know, it's hard for an athlete to stay still. Athletes like to move, they like to go. However, now, at this time, in this place, allow us to be still, to quiet ourselves and to fix our eyes on you, the giver of all good things. College athletics have been such a gift to so many of us, and we're thankful for the chance to have competed at such a special place. Today, we want to lift up our Hall of Fame honorees, their families, and their teammates that have been an encouragement along their way. Let today be a time of sharing great memories, making new ones, and really appreciating the family you have given us here at NDSU. Bless our food and our conversations. Remind us of who you are and what you've done. We thank you for offering us grace and peace through your Son, Jesus. May all that we do here today be done in love, knowing that you have loved us first. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jeff. And thank you to the Holiday Inn for catering today's event. Please enjoy your meal, and we'll begin our program at about noon. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Dan Michaels.
Everybody, good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome once again to the induction ceremony for the 50th class of the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. At this time, it is a distinct pleasure and honor for me to introduce to you the 15th president of North Dakota State University. Please welcome Dr. David Cook. Dr. Cook. Welcome, sir. I'm Dan. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, everybody. So, 15th president of North Dakota State University as of about an hour or two ago. I just had my inauguration, so I guess there's no going back. But been having a ball, loving meeting everybody. People have been fabulous to my wife, and I am very appreciative of that. One of the great things and experiences for me since I began is getting to know the athletic folks here. I came from the University of Kansas. I worked very closely as part of my job there with athletics, but I have to say, and that was great, but what we have here is something very, very special. And I love working with the athletic director, Matt Larson, and his team, absolutely first class. I feel like we have a great team. There's kind of no separation of church and state with academia and athletics, and I think that's really special and critical. And through Matt, I've gotten to know the many coaches and student athletes and other administrators, and it's pretty special. I say this a lot, that if we could figure out how to bottle it and sell it, what we're doing with our athletes here, it would be worth its weight in gold. Athletes will cross the street and say hello. They're very genuine. Obviously, we have an amazing tradition of winning on the court or on the field, but I have to say what I love every bit as much of that is how they perform off the court, and you guys know they have very high standards of academic excellence, and for that I'm very grateful and very proud to be walking into this situation, to be kind of entering into something that's going so well, so that's pretty special. So having a great time, having fun with athletics. I'll give this a shot. My favorite athletic moment so far was being down in Vermillion at halftime. Things weren't going very well. I was sitting on the bench, and I think it's Jake Cava, who's here somewhere. Maybe he doesn't want me to know where he is, but I think it was you, Jake. And halftime, down by 7, and he sat next to me on the bench, and he looked at me and patted me on the back, and he said, "Don't worry, Mr. President, we got this." So, and I thought, holy cow, he's the adult here. But such class, such professionalism. It's a small example of what I'm already witnessing, and the history of excellence here is unbelievable. And so just a shout out and a congratulations to those that are being inducted. You are in rarefied air if you're in the Hall of Fame at NDSU. So congratulations to all of you, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. Ladies and gentlemen, the athletic director at North Dakota State University, Matt Larson, has overseen some incredible accomplishments since his arrival. North Dakota State has raised more than $110 million for on-campus athletic facilities since 2016, including, I'm sure you've noticed, the new $50 million Nodak Insurance Football Performance Complex that opened this fall. As part of the In Our Hands University Capital campaign, Bison Athletics raised $118.4 million and an additional $41.9 million through team makers for a total of $160.3 million during the 6 years of the campaign. That on top of multiple individual and team conference championships and national championships. He was recognized as the Under Armour FCS Athletics Director of the Year in 2018-2019. Will you please welcome the Athletic Director for North Dakota State University, Mr. Matt Larson. Matt.
Well, thank you, Dan, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. And a special welcome home to our inductees today, Lynn, Kinsey, Marques, Jerry, Mark, Brad, and Allan. Today we celebrate each of you and all that you accomplished while in a Bison uniform and the unbelievable accomplishments during your time here at NDSU. And one of the things Dan had mentioned, athletic facilities, and I always love it when the inductees come back, and you know, some live near, some live far, and they haven't been back to campus in a number of years, and they're just blown away by how campus has just exploded with new facilities, new buildings, and that's just not athletics. There's unbelievable transformation on campus and really exciting. I always tell recruits when they come here, when you go on a college campus and you see construction, that's growth, that's prosperity, that's an institution that's moving in the right direction. So really exciting. But before I make some brief remarks, there are a lot of people who really make today possible, and I just want to recognize them quickly. And so first, we just heard from him, President Cook and his wife, Katie. Really excited to have you here in the 5 months that you've been here. Your leadership, the excitement, the direction of where NDSU is going is really exciting, and really happy to be part of your leadership team. The Hall of Fame Committee. You know, today doesn't happen if we don't have people who volunteer their time to make today really special. And so, in particular, Lee Peterson, the chair of the Hall of Fame Committee, Ryan Peralt from our staff, who does an unbelievable job of all the logistics that you see today, and Helena Johnson, really the person behind the scenes that really pulls this event together, and really in hopes of making sure that our inductees have an unbelievably special day and a special weekend. And so, a thanks to that group. A number of other people are involved with making today happen. You look around this room, this is our practice gym. And so we transform this into a really special venue, and having this event on campus is really something that's been important to us. And so a number of folks, so Livewire, a lot of the AV, the technology you see here, want to thank them. Holiday Inn for the unbelievable meal that we're eating as I speak. But a number of people from our staff helped transform this facility and make it really into a really special place. So Cole Hine, Scott Walken, Paul Wixo, Kate Kinesky, and Austin Sparrow. So thank you all. And then our athletic staff and coaches, a number of them are here today, and you know, we don't do what we do if it's not for those people who work incredibly hard, and I'm really lucky to get to work side by side with them, and there's not a more passionate group of people who genuinely believe in our student athletes, believe in NDSU, and believe in the state of North Dakota. So thank you for all you do. And then finally to our senior student athletes that are here in attendance today, your dedication and commitment during your 4 years here is about carrying on all the things that make Bison athletics so special. And you've been unbelievable in your sport. You've been unbelievable in the classroom. You've been unbelievable in the community. You've been role models to young people in the community. And today you get to see role models who did an unbelievable job during their time at NDSU and now have gone on to do unbelievable things in their careers and in their lives. So please join me in a round of applause in thanking all the groups that made today possible. You know, it's hard to believe. It was 8 years ago that I first stepped on campus, and this is my 7th Hall of Fame ceremony since I've been at NDSU. And when I think about the Hall of Fame here at NDSU, a couple words come to mind. Excellence, high standard, determination, character, and of course, and probably most importantly, and this means a lot to this room, is Bison pride. Today we get to celebrate 7 people who absolutely exemplify these characteristics and had an incredible impact on the NDSU that we are today. You're the foundation of our success. You're the foundation of our future. And so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to induct you all into the Hall of Fame. And as with every year, I'm always blown away when I put together my remarks and you look at the accolades, the accomplishments, the successes that this group has had. And so just to list a few, 27 All-America honors, 6 national champions, 2 team national championships, a 2-time National Administrator of the Year recipient, a National Lineman of the Year, 3 team captains, a dean and interim president, a Super Bowl champion, and a pioneer and tireless advocate for women's athletics. This is truly an unbelievable and outstanding group. Not only did they contribute at an incredibly high level when NDSU, but more importantly, they embody what Bison Athletics is all about. I'm honored to welcome each of you into the Bison Athletics Hall of Fame as the class of 2022. Congratulations, Lynn, Kinsey, Marques, Jerry, Mark, Brad, and Allan. Thanks again for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of the ceremony, and go Bison.
Well, as we prepare to enshrine the 2022 Bison Athletic Hall of Fame inductees this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome some past honorees who are here with us today. If you are such an honoree, we're so happy that you're here. Would you please rise and remain standing so we can get a really good look at you when your name is called? Mr. Steve Garski, Jared Maher, Chuck Clabo, Dr. Richard Hansen, Kevin Bloom, Perry Kozlowski, Steve Saxland, Chris Nelson, Lee Peterson, Joel Vettel, Dale Bailing, Jerry Gores, Zandra Bina, Kelly Lehman, Amy Ruley, Casey Morlock, Jill DeVries, Jane Even Gust, Jamie Barry Adams, Janice Woods, Donna Palovic, Trish Sear, Lindsey Graham Gustafson, Jill Thieler Selekaway, Julie Sherman Pashy, Kim Brecky, Jennifer Barber Odette, Andrew Moen, and Ryan Walters. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for these Bison Hall of Famers. And now we are ready to add 7 outstanding individuals to the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. Enthusiasm, innovation, and hard work were the cornerstones to Lynn Dorn's remarkable 38-year record at North Dakota State. Bison women's team won 7 NCAA national championships, 62 North Central Conference titles, 37 Summit League championships, and 9 conference all-sports trophies, including 4 straight in the Summit League from 2010 to 2013. North Dakota State had 3 Honda Broderick Award winners as Division II Most Outstanding Female Athletes and 5 NCC Stan Marshall Award winners. There were 139 All-Americans in 6 women's sports, 54 Academic All-American Awards, and 18 NCAA Postgraduate Scholarship winners. One of 7 Administrator of the Year Award winners in 2002 by the National Association of Collegiate Women Athletic Administrators, she was named Women's Basketball Coaches Association Administrator of the Year in 1997, and one of the 5 most influential people in Division II athletics by College Sports Magazine in 1995. She served on many national committees, including the NCAA Constitution and Bylaws Committee, Voting Committee, Women's Basketball Rules Committee, Executive Committee, and the Division II Management Council. She was Division II Vice President from 1995 to 1998. A graduate of Bemidji State University, she was inducted into the BSU Athletic Hall of Fame in 1994. Without further ado, we welcome into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Lynn Dorn.
Thank you very, very much. That was heartfelt, and Matt, I appreciate the hug. That was very nice of you, so thank you. The problem for me is, though, when I get back, I always think I'm in charge, and clearly I'm not. But to those of you who are, thank you very, very much, as this is an exceptional event. To Matt, the staff, and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, thank you. A term often used today is influencer, one whose influence over others impacts their choices. A person who may influence colors, style, what watch to wear, what car to drive, what shoes to sport. Throughout my life, I've been very fortunate to have meaningful influencers, those that have influenced my heart. My family, my tribe, my people are the most valued influencers. My sister Kay and her husband Buzz, their daughter Kelly and son-in-law Joe, Jamie, son-in-law Troy, and my brother Tony and his wife Connie, and their children Tony 3, his wife Rachel, and daughter Ellie all top the list. Like my sister and brother, my nieces and nephews have been very generous in sharing their families with me, which leads me to my grade 8s. The grade 8s are the trio of Blake, Lydia, Cooper, twins Kellen and Lauren, followed by Jax and Eiley, and Tony Charles. I'm very proud to be inducted and included into your circle. Thanks to my guests who have joined me today, I have treasured our friendship. Well, given that this is the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which in my opinion is the second most important federal legislation enacted on behalf of women, the first, of course, being the right to vote, I thought it appropriate to acknowledge those early leaders that influenced NDSU women's athletics. President Laurel Lofsgaard and Dr. Ade Sponberg, Director of Athletics, 2 men who were like-minded in their support of our purpose to further the women's program. They entrusted us to set the standards and to define the expectations. Dr. Judy Ray, my predecessor, was an original architect of the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletics Conference. It was founded in 1969, which was pre-Title IX, and was the first of its kind in our nation. We are indebted to her and countless other women whose determined focus, persistence, and grit to ensure women had equity in sport, and yet paved the way for us to become the keepers of their legacy. Ed Kopak, the sport editor of the Fargo Forum, Ed often gave us several inches of ink in his weekly column. I hope Ed knew how his words added credibility to the program. Drs. Russ Kuzel and Don Upgran were the team physicians for our women's program. Like today's doctors, Don and Russ devoted hours and hours and hours of care. Never say whoa in the middle of a horse race is a classic Don Mortonism. Mort gave us, to the newly minted hired head coaches, the how-tos of recruiting. He shared the recruiting process and the steps in building a championship culture. During that era, what head football coach would do such for the women's program? President Jim Osmond. Jim led us through the Title IX challenges and was the right person at the right time. Our Director of Equity, Dr. Sandy Holbrook, devoted a decade of her career gathering data and writing reports as the institution received a formal Title IX complaint. Her direction in leading the institution to equity included doing what was right for both the men and the women. Irv, who doesn't need his last name mentioned to know who we're talking about, thank you for being an important part of the establishment of the Women in Sports Excellence Scholarship. Many have benefited. Mrs. C. and Marlis Callahan, equipment techs, who taught our teams lessons of life, lessons that were passed on from team to team, from generation to generation. They were invaluable, wise women. From its inception, Teammakers has prioritized the education of athletes. Countless volunteers believe in this enterprise that we call intercollegiate athletics. A special group for me was the Birthday Club, a haberdashery of women from across campus who met monthly to share birthday cards, a glass of wine, and a bowl of wild rice soup. Together, the Soul Sisters were mentors to many and avid supporters of women's athletics. The athletics staff, in my mind's eye, were the unsung heroes. From the earliest days of branding a new profile for the women's program, each significantly contributed to the future as we know it today. Selling tickets to a handful of fans, inviting reporters to press conferences, marketing to new audiences, securing radio and television coverage, creating promotional events, monitoring academics, all of which mattered. Sports medicine and strength and conditioning staffs were also valuable in fulfilling our mission. Lois, Josh, and Kay, Felver and Troy, Grant, Schwartzy, Ryan, and Wes, Hammerschmidt, Nikki and Scott, Jim and Jason and Kelly, you mattered. The quality of the coaches at NDSU and who are and were is exceptional. What a testimony to the program, to the institution, to be able to time and time again attract the highest quality of educators. Dedicated, committed, passionate, loyal, and fiercely competitive, they were and are the biggest influencers in athletics. Looking back, each coach was uniquely their own person, but all held common principles and values. Simply put, they were the best. They were the finishers of the build, one athlete at a time. Although all coaches were positive change agents, Donna Palovic, Sue Patterson, and Amy Ruley are noteworthy. They led with strength, conviction, and an unyielding appetite to succeed. I am grateful to all coaches as they represented NDSU with Bison pride. I tip my horns to the last crew, Carolyn and Marin, Jerry, Ryan, and Stevie, Lisa and Matt, Pete and Mark, Darren, Z, Eric, and Carrie. A deep appreciation is held for the athletes, women who earned and deserved what they received. They were not successful because of the demands of Title IX, but rather because they were able to commit to the commitment of wearing the green and the gold. Winning team and individual NCAA national championships, regional and conference championships, Honda Broderick recipients, NCAA Women of the Year honorees, and more, was because of their hard work, extra effort, and a pride of belonging. They loved winning and despised losing. We honor each, from the All-Americans to the role players who waved bench towels, as all held a strong belief of what it meant to be a Bison. They cemented their legacy in their undying loyalty, their unheralded competitiveness, and their desire to be the best. Their sisterhood was and is unbreakable. Can you imagine the highlight reel that is etched in my mind as I watch the program evolve from being a participant within the Minnesota Conference to champions against the highest level of competitors? What a remarkable transition in a relatively short period of time. As influencers, women athletes often did not realize their impact, but I can assure all of them they were all an influence. It was an honor to serve as the Director of Women's Athletics. Thank you.
Congratulations, Lynn. Our next inductee is a native of Staten Island, New York. He came to NDSU in 1968 after completing a doctorate in chemistry at Indiana University and serving a 2-year postdoctoral appointment in chemistry at the University of Minnesota. He was promoted through the professional ranks to become a professor of biochemistry at North Dakota State University, eventually becoming the dean of the College of Science and Mathematics in 1986. He served 10 years as NDSU's faculty athletics representative to the North Central Conference and NCAA from 1988 to 1998. He also held interim roles as VP for Academic Affairs and Vice President of University Advancement, and was the director of the Governor's School in Science and Mathematics. Recognized with the Outstanding Academic Advisor Award from Mortarboard, he also received the Blue Key Distinguished Educator Award and Doctor of Service Award. He was a member of the NDSU faculty until 1999, when he retired after 1 year as NDSU's interim president. But he remained active with the Bison for another 10 years as an academic advisor and established a computer center and study room for student athletes in the former Bison Sports Arena. It is our pleasure to introduce for induction into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Mr. Allan Fischer.
Much for those kind remarks. It's amazing that I still can spell the word interim, since that was in my background for 3 different positions. But anyway, I've had a great fun here at NDSU. When Kerry Lehman called sometime last spring, said, and I was going to be inducted into this auspicious group, I thought, why? And I have to still say why. I had some academic accolades, but nothing like this on the athletic field. And so therefore I have to thank all the administrators, their assistants, coaches, and most of all the student athlete here at NDSU for this honor, and just working with me to persevere and to graduate and excel. When this is a position that you don't search for at NDSU. I don't know if you remember a gentleman by the name of Roy Johnson, a very prominent member of the Bison Hall of Fame, and also a big Bison sports fan, called me one day and said, quarterback so-and-so has to get into a math class. So after a couple phone calls, we were able to accomplish that, and that gentleman passed the Math 103, went on to graduate, and I believe is a member of this Hall of Fame. And so therefore, I really do enjoy my interest with student athletes. It wasn't long after that, however, that I had a phone call from President Lopsgaard and asking me would I serve as the faculty athletic rep, and loving sports and loving students. I said sure. And so therefore I got into this and thinking what I can do and have a role in making it better for the student athletes. The NCAA supports about, at the present time, probably 400 student athletes who have graduated, and to a tune of about $4 million. And as I looked at the programs that we were supporting, there were two of them that stood out that I thought we could do well in. And that was the postgraduate scholarships, and also one with equity and minority women enhancement for athletic programs. And so if you think about what our student athletes also do, you realize that they're always good at the classroom. We have pretty good, we earn a pretty good GPA. And you also know that they perform well at the athletic field. But something we don't get a lot of credit for maybe, but one that the NCAA requires is community service. And so I thought, what can we do? Anyway, I understand Bucky Maughan is not here, but he was very instrumental in having the wrestlers go to the Ronald McDonald House and shovel snow after every snow in the wintertime. We also went down to the Ronald McDonald House in South Fargo, one team every month for food, play games with the parents and the sick little kids. We also went to the hospitals with gifts at Christmas time. And perhaps the most prominent thing we did, and the most visible, was the green and gold manning the Salvation Army red kettles. I would always get a call back from the captain of the Salvation Army thanking us for doing it. And when the green and gold kids were out there collecting money, we got the most. And so therefore, service was an important part. And so we were very successful in these activities. At one time we were getting at least one and up as many as three postgraduate scholarships awards from the NCAA. And they put out 122 scholarships every year, 21 to men, 21 to women, each sports season, fall, winter, and spring. And we were successful. At one time, we were in the top 5, not top 5%, but the top 5 in the nation of earning a postgraduate scholarship. Who was number 1? Stanford. And we'll give them that. But anyway, we had a great time with these student athletes because they were successful, and they go on to great success also. Today is a fun day for me, and I really miss Kelly Lehman. I understand she was sick, and my daughter, who was supposed to be here with me, came down with the COVID last night, or yesterday anyway, and couldn't come up here. But it was a real pleasure for me to be able to introduce my wife of 8 years, Allan Fischer, and to have my son and his wife as visiting, as well as my son-in-law. So again, also I have to say one other thing. I got my youngest granddaughter, coming later on with a great-granddaughter that I've never seen. And someone said to me that she will have a Bison outfit on at the game. My other grandkids are one in Alaska and the other one in Florida. Can't get much further apart. And the other young lady graduated from Baylor and is at a conference meet down there. So again, my academics, sports, has been a great thing for me. And so someone said I was from Staten Island, that's true. So I just had to be very thankful for the road that I've been led on, going from Staten Island to Pennsylvania to Oklahoma, Indiana, Minnesota, and finally 40 years in North Dakota, in Fargo. That's a pretty good time here at NDSU. I have to be very thankful for doing what I have been able to do and have fun. But I had a good friend who was very involved in Christian camping, and I was also worked for him in this Christian camping in many summers. And he said to me, God's calendar is perfect. And I think that's a paraphrase of a short verse in Psalm 123, verse 8. It says, "The Lord will watch over you, coming and going, now and forevermore." And that's been my faith, that's been my background, and that's what I like to instill in student athletes. So thank you very much for this. Go Bison, and thanks.
Congratulations, Dr. Fischer. Our next inductee was a 4-year starting center on the NDSU offensive line from 1992 to 1995. He helped the Bison to a 36-11 record, 2 NCC championships, and 3 NCAA playoff appearances. One of only 14 Bison players in the Division II era to earn All-America recognition in 2 different seasons. He was named Division II Offensive Lineman of the Year in 1995 by Football Gazette. 2-time All-North Central Conference First Team in 1994 and 1995. He earned All-NCC Honorable Mention as a redshirt freshman in 1992 and was an academic All-NCC in 1995. A team captain his senior year, he was the 1995 Team MVP for the Bison and selected to the 1996 Snow Bowl Division II All-Star Game. After graduating from North Dakota State University with a bachelor's degree in business administration, he began working as an auditor for PricewaterhouseCoopers, conducting large multinational audits of public companies for 8+ years. He moved on to work for Masterlock Company as the assistant controller before becoming a director of finance at his current employer, Rockwell Automation. The 1990 Wisconsin Football Coaches Association Player of the Year for Westby Area High School, he now resides in Pewaukee, Wisconsin with his wife Michelle and has 3 children, Braden, Isabella, and Jackson. We are proud to welcome for induction into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Brad Servais.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. Many who know me might be a bit surprised that I'm actually going to give up and give a speech. I've always been known as being a bit quiet, a man of few words. So please, bear with me here as I step out of my comfort zone for a few minutes. I'm truly honored to be a member of the 50th annual class to be inducted into the NDSU Athletic Hall of Fame. I'd like to congratulate all of my fellow inductees. It is very humbling to be included as part of this very special group. I'd also like to thank the NDSU Hall of Fame Committee for my selection into this honored club. This was totally unexpected. In fact, a few months ago, when I received a note that Coach Entz wanted to talk to me, my first thought was, wow, the head coach is calling me to ask for a donation? Boy, Matt Larson and his fundraising team must really be struggling these days. When I ended up speaking to Coach Entz, and he informed me that I had been selected as part of this induction class, I was basically speechless. It is hard to put into words what this honor truly means to me. Thank you, Coach Entz, for that phone call and conversation. It is one that I will never forget. A huge thank you also goes out to my family, my wife, Michelle, and my 3 kids, Braden, Isabella, and Jackson. I'm very grateful to have my daughter, Izzy, here with me in person to share this very special moment. My 2 sons aren't able to be here today, as my youngest, Jackson, is playing tonight, and my oldest son, Braden, who is an assistant high school coach, both have their own football games back in Wisconsin. Good luck tonight, guys. I will be following you online. Michelle and the 2 of them will be joining us tomorrow for the game. I love all of you very much. A very special thank you goes to my mom and dad, Dan and Mary Beth, who are here with me today. Thank you for all of your sacrifices that you made while allowing me to chase my dreams. For all those late Friday night road trips to Fargo so you could be there in person to see me play on Saturday. I also very much appreciated that $60 you would always hand me on Sunday morning before you headed back out of town. That money definitely came in very handy over the years. Thank you, and I love you. My brother Brian and his wife Rhea also made that Friday night trek to Fargo almost for all the games. Thank you for being there and always showing your support. To my oldest brother Scott and his wife Jill, thank you for all of your help and guidance over the years. Your mentorship is something that I will always rely on and cherish. I'd also like to thank all of the coaches that I had while at NDSU, especially my head coach, Rocky Hager, my offensive line coach, Bruce Somm, and Coach Donovan Larson, who recruited me out of Little Westby High School. Thank you for pushing me to not only be a better player, but a better person as well. Thank you for showing me that challenges and adversity are a part of everyone's life. But those that stay the course, those that follow the process, those that stay true to the daily grind can overcome those obstacles. These are traits that I have carried with me well beyond the years I spent in Fargo. After getting the news that I was joining this very special group of athletes, I began to reflect on the time I spent on campus. I've been truly blessed to experience some very special moments while wearing the Bison helmet. Beginning with my first season as a starter in 1992 and being able to play on historic Dakota Field for its final year. And being part of all those epic battles against Pitt State, including the overtime playoff loss in 1992, the mud game playoff victory in 1994, and the opening of the Fargo Dome to start the 1993 season when the two top-ranked teams in the country faced off against each other to open the season. That first game in the Dome was unforgettable for many reasons. And I can still remember being on the field for that very first touchdown ever scored in the Dome. In fact, I think that play might be etched in my memory forever. Arden Beachy at quarterback, spins out to the left. I turn to fill for the pulling guard. But as Arden pitched the ball to Jason Miller, and he sprinted around the outside for some 30-plus yards for the first ever TD in the Dome, my blocking technique was unfortunately not very good on the play. I ended up tripping over someone and falling directly on my backside. So as the sold-out crowd of the Dome is going absolutely bonkers and crazy with the first TD ever, there I am, lying on the turf, on my back, looking up at the Dome ceiling with only one thought in my mind. Boy, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this when we watch film tomorrow. My experience at NDSU was much more than memorable games or moments on the playing field. The thing that I cherished the most about my time at NDSU is a feeling of family and brotherhood that I still carry with me today. This started the moment I stepped foot on campus. I was very fortunate to have a group of upperclassmen Rams take me under their wing. These group of Rams all lived together in what everyone called the Ram House, very original. I'm sure you can imagine what a house full of 4 offensive linemen living together looked like. Let me tell you, it was a true eye-opener for a young 18-year-old kid from a small town in Wisconsin. I was lucky that during my first year on campus, this group of older Rams accepted me and included me as one of their own. I remember numerous times that off-season, I would get a call from them on a cold, gray Saturday morning telling me to get over to their house. I was spending the day with them, and off I'd go. The time spent with them and their willingness to include me, teach me, mentor me about what it meant to be a Bison, but what it meant to be a member of the Ram O-line, helped shape my career over the next 4 years. I was fortunate to play with many talented and fantastic teammates over the years, and very grateful that some are here today with me. Being able to play with 2 All-American guards early in my career with Kevin Bloom and Scott Fuchs showed me the standard of excellence required to wear the Bison helmet and to carry on that Ram tradition between the lines. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to some of the other Rams that I was fortunate to play with over the years, including Dave Rose, Doug Van Meter, Evan Quaker, Scott Ewell, and Tracy Busick. Some of my favorite memories are with those guys as we would gather on a Friday to write the weekly story that would be read during the Friday night players-only meeting. One rule was evident from the start, and a bit painful for some, but you should never take a nap while the rest of the Rams are writing the story. If so, there's a good chance you might be the main character that week. A huge thank you goes out to my 2 roommates that I had for most of my time on campus, Matt Rusted and Gunnar Gossard. However, I'm not sure what I was thinking when I decided to room with 2 guys who play defense. But looking back, I guess it might have limited the number of cheap shots I took during practice. Well, maybe not from Gunnar, but that's a different story. I'm grateful that both Matt and Gunnar are here today with me. Our friendship is something that I'll always cherish. To wrap up, the decision I made to attend NDSU is one of the best things I have ever done. It has allowed me to be part of something much bigger than myself, a family bond and brotherhood that truly lasts a lifetime. Current athletes and back, please don't take this place for granted. NDSU is special. It is something that you will always carry with you wherever you go in life. I'm proud to call myself a Bison, and thank you very much for this honor. Go Bison.
Congratulations. Our next inductee, this four-time high school state champion, was North Dakota's Mr. Essler in 1993 after a 40-0 senior year at New Salem High School, where he finished his prep career with a 197-9 record, including 128 pins. A three-time NCAA All-American for the Bison, he placed 8th at 150 pounds in 1995, 7th at 158 pounds in 1997, and came back to win the individual title at 158 pounds in 1998, helping NDSU to the Division II National Wrestling Championship. Part of 2 North Central Conference championship teams in his career, he won back-to-back NCC individual titles at 158 pounds in 1997 and in 1998. He posted a career record of 85 wins and 38 losses with 15 pins, and led the Bison in dual victories with an 11-1 record in 1998. He was 29-5 with 7 pins his senior year. Employed with Carrington Public Schools since 1999, he has coached 10 state wrestling champions and 80 state place winners, leading the Cardinals to 7 top 4 finishes in the state dual meet tournament. He was named North Dakota Class B Coach of the Year in 2003 and was inducted into the North Dakota Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2008. Please welcome for induction into the Bison Hall of Fame, Mark Pazdernik.
I almost felt like I was in college this morning as I was driving down the interstate trying to write my speech in the vehicle. So, first of all, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees today. As for myself, I'm very honored to join the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm joining a list of NDSU greats, especially a very long list of wrestlers. I'd also like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. It was 30 years ago, this coming March, that Bucky Mon sat at my parents' kitchen table for me to sign my letter of intent. At that point, I knew very little about NDSU wrestling. I had no idea what I was getting myself into or where it would lead me. I can still remember my first day of wrestling practice. I was grouped up with 3 returning wrestlers, and we were doing takedowns. Let me tell you, that didn't go good for me. Kirk Fight, a senior at the time, was wrestling upper body with me. And me being a freshman, I stayed in that position. Well, he ended up throwing me, and I ended up landing on the top of my head. And I chipped my tooth. The second day of practice wasn't much better for me because I spent the afternoon in the chair of a dentist fixing that tooth. I knew from that point that I had my work cut out for me. I really struggled that first semester in the practice room. In fact, I don't believe I scored an offensive point before Christmas. But with the help of my coaches and my teammates, by the end of the year, in the following year, I found success. A little bit later through my career, about a year and a half later, I actually thought about quitting wrestling. But with the help of one of my teammates, Ryan Walters, we were traveling on the way back from a wrestling tournament in Madison, Wisconsin, and we had a great conversation. He was able to give me some wise advice and encouraging words, and the thought of quitting soon disappeared. And to this day, I can't imagine where that would have taken me in my life if I would have walked away from the sport of wrestling. I'll be honest with you, I never thought I had a chance to be a national champion. I thought I was maybe good enough to be a 2 or 3-time All-American, but not a national champion. This is what the Bison Wrestling Program did for me, with hard work, discipline, and dedication. And when I didn't believe in myself, my teammates and coaches did. You know, one of the things that we were supposed to talk about in our speech is what NDSU has done for me and influenced my life. And the answer to that is not to quit on anything, not to give up, to keep trying, to work a little harder. Because you never know what was on the other side. You never know what you can achieve or accomplish. And I can remember back to the national tournament my senior year. I was wrestling the defending national champion in the semifinal match. And going into the third period with only 2 minutes left, I was down 10-2 in the match. And with the determination of what I had learned through everything, I battled back to the end of the third period, and I tied it up 10-10, which would send it into overtime. And then in overtime, I end up getting a close takedown on the edge, which they didn't give it to me. They gave the other guy fleeing the mat, so I got 1 point and won the match, which advanced me to the finals the next day. But the only reason I believe that I think I won that match was the mental toughness that Bucky Mon instilled in me. The mental toughness that he put all of his wrestlers through. And without that, I truly believe that I would not have been able to wrestle all the way to the end of the match, would not have been able to wrestle all the way with no time on the clock. So I thank you, Bucky Mon, for that. Some of my other fond memories that I can remember, we were wrestling SDSU in a duel one week, and we ended up getting stuck in Summit, South Dakota for 3 days in a snowstorm. And let me tell you, 72 hours with 20 guys on a bus is not very much fun. A couple other of my things that I remember most besides winning my national championship, but was actually winning the national championship as a team. We were a really close group, a bunch of wrestlers that worked really hard, and we thought we had the chance to win it, and we proved ourselves at conference time, and we proved ourselves at nationals. And the other thing that really sticks on my mind with wrestling, whether I was wrestling in high school or college or even coaching high school, wrestling has brought me some of my greatest friends, which I still stay in close contact with them today. I would like to give some thank yous. I'd like to thank my mom and dad, first of all. I don't know anybody that worked harder on the farm than my mom and dad, and was more dedicated. They instilled and modeled what hard work looked like. To this day, I think that my dad can still outwork me. Also, thank you to my two oldest brothers, Tom and Matt, for dragging me off the couch that one Saturday morning to my very first wrestling tournament. Thank you to my sister, who was my biggest cheerleader. Thank you to all my high school teammates, especially my brother Mike. My brother Mike had the biggest impact on my wrestling career. I would not have been as successful without him pushing me in high school. And also thank you to my high school wrestling coach, Dale Beckman. I learned a lot from you on and off the mat. I would also like to thank my college teammates, especially a few of my practice partners, like Wayne Mooney, Brett Svensson, and Steve Saxlin. They were a huge part of my success, and I would not have accomplished as much without them. I would also like to thank George Thompson, who wasn't able to be here today. George was a team captain with me on the '98 national championship team, and I would like to think that we had a little part in that national championship team. The other people I'd like to thank are the fans. We had some of the greatest fans at NDSU. And when we were on the road, it almost seemed like we had home field advantage because we had so many fans there, and whether it was at conference or at nationals. I'd also like to do a huge thank you to my assistant coach, Pete Isaias, and legendary head coach, Bucky Mon. Thank you, Bucky, for taking a chance on me. And I would also like to acknowledge my daughter, Kennedy, who is here with me today. I already see the competitive qualities in you that have helped you in the classroom and athletics. And I hope that you have picked up a few things along the way from me. Thank you.
Up next, this 8-time state champion at Milwaukee Vincent High School was the 2001 Wisconsin Track Coaches Association Male Athlete of the Year before an impressive two-sport career here at North Dakota State University. A 7-time All-American in the sprints and relays, he won 12 North Central Conference titles, 6 indoors, 6 outdoors, and was a 2-time champion at the prestigious Drake Relays. He competed at the NCAA championships in 6 events: the 60, 100, 200, and 400 meters, and the 4x100 and 4x400 relays. He was the last NDSU athlete to compete in the school's Division II era as an anchor leg of the 4x400 relay that placed second at the 2004 NCAA Outdoor Championships. He set 9 NDSU records and still holds 5 indoor records in the 55, 60, and 200 meters and the 4x200 and 4x400 relays. His outdoor records in the 400 and 4x400 relay stood until this last spring. In football, he was an All-NCC honorable mention wide receiver in 2002 when he set an NDSU freshman record with 749 receiving yards, which still ranks 10th overall in NDSU single-season history. The leading receiver and kickoff returner for the 2002 Bison, he made 37 catches with 5 touchdowns and had 21 kick returns for 411 yards, the second most returns and fourth most return yards in school history at the time. He represented NDSU at the 2005 NCAA Leadership Conference and played 4 years of professional indoor football before continuing his competitive track career. He is a 12-time USA Track and Field Masters All-American and competed at the 2018 and 2019 World Masters Championships in Spain and in Poland. Inducted into the Wisconsin Track Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2019, he has coached track for 10 years at Milwaukee-Vincent, including 3 years as head coach. He resides in Oak Creek, Wisconsin with his wife Stacy and their son Amari. We proudly welcome into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Marques Johnson.
All right, good afternoon. First off, I just want to start out by saying thank you to the selection committee for this honor. Kind of looking back on my career here at NDSU and some of the goals that I set, being up here as a Hall of Famer wasn't one of them. So to be standing up here today is an honor, and thank you. Also wanted to congratulate my fellow inductees on your enshrinement. This is a special weekend. This is a big deal, and I hope you guys, get out and see the campus and see all the changes and kind of live like college students for at least one more weekend. To my support system over here at table 2, to my wife Stacy, who I met long after the NDSU days, but she's definitely become a Bison over the years. We've done road trips to the University of Iowa game, Indiana State, been to Fargo for some homecoming games, so she's definitely taken on my Bison craziness, so thank you and love you for putting up with my madness. Also want to thank my Fargo first-timers. My father-in-law, Pat, is here for the first time in Fargo. My friend Gary and Jennifer, who's over there taking care of some duties for me. Thank you for making a long trip up to Fargo. I also want to acknowledge some family that aren't here physically, but are here in spirit. My mother-in-law, Sam, and my 2 grandparents. I know they would be proud of me being here today. So. To my parents, my mom and my dad, I definitely wouldn't have made it up here without you guys. Kind of like Mark said, coming from Wisconsin, it was an 8-hour ride, and they would come up Friday after work, come to the game, then turn right back around and head back home to Milwaukee. So, just your love and support ever since I started playing sports. I wanted to be Ken Griffey Jr. That was my goal in life. And as soon as I told them that, they signed me up for Little League Baseball, and they never discouraged me from doing anything. They were always in my corner, and all the way through college, just being there supportive. And like Mark said, that money that you dropped off in the bank accounts on those broke college weekends, definitely much appreciated. It was a different time then. The kids now, they got NIL deals and sponsorships, and we couldn't even get an extra sandwich out the RDC lunch line without it being a NCAA violation. So enjoy those deals. So, as I stand here as a track and field inductee, none of this would have been possible without Bison football. I was actually recruited to NDSU to play football, and I wasn't recruited to run track. And I know Coach Larson is here. We still need to have that conversation. But my time with Bison football was definitely a special time. I remember coming in 2002 and had a lot of guys get injured, had a really bad year. I think we were 2-8 that year, like one of the worst seasons ever in Bison football history. And then the announcement was made that, we're going to be going up to Division I. And that next year in 2003, we went out and played Montana, who was the NDSU of 1AA at that time. And I just remember getting out to that stadium and just seeing how many people were there. And you can just tell, like, it was a different atmosphere. Like, we were going to be doing some special things. And we were getting our butts kicked, I think, 24-2 at halftime. And we came back and won that game. And at that moment, like, I knew that our program and our school was going in to the right direction. And just from that until what our program is now, just seeing, to have college game, like, who would ever thought that college game day would be hosting from our campus? Like, that just blew my mind. And just from that and the national championships, guys getting drafted into the NFL. And my parents would tell you, I grew up a big San Francisco 49ers fan. I hated the Green Bay Packers, even though I was from Wisconsin. That changed when I got to Fargo because I was around too many Vikings fans. So I started to cheer for the Packers a little bit. But my wife would tell you, when Trey Lance got drafted by the 49ers, I about woke up the entire state of Wisconsin because I was just so proud and just like in awe. Like, a quarterback from my program will be the quarterback for my favorite NFL team. So Bison football, you've been a big part of my success, and it was a blast. And with that, I have to thank then head football coach Bob Babbage, who recruited me and thought that I would be an asset to the Bison football team. And a big thank you to my position coach at the time, Johnny Cox, who did a great job in selling North Dakota State on me. Because I'm going to be honest, and we're all Bison family. When I saw that first pamphlet and I saw North Dakota State, my first thought was, there's no way I'm moving anywhere colder than Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That wasn't an option. And my second thought, like I said, I'm going to be honest with you guys, we're family. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the pamphlet, and they had Lamar Gordon on there. Obviously, he was the star player at the time. He was from Milwaukee, and so he was kind of like the selling point. So I'm sitting there looking at the pamphlet, and I'm like, okay, we got Lamar Gordon. Johnny Cox is the receiver coach. If I did come to NDSU, I would be the third black person in the state of North Dakota. Because I was 17, I didn't think black people lived in North Dakota. I'm just being honest. I didn't, but obviously I was wrong about that. And, and kind of touching on that, coming from Milwaukee to Fargo, it was a little different. I was used to a bigger city. But it did teach me at a young age to not judge people based on what you think about them or what they look like or where they live. Living in Fargo taught me to step out of my comfort zone and meet new people that I probably wouldn't have talked to when I was back in Milwaukee. And I can say that I met a lot of great people here in Fargo, people that I still talk to this day. So that was just one of the big lessons that I learned being here. And I think that's a lesson that we can all use in our lives, is just get out and start talking to people. Don't let what you see on TV influence you and make you feel a certain way about a person because of their background. So that was one of the big things that Fargo taught me. I had so many firsts living here in Fargo. Got my first credit card, paid my first beer bill. Well, speaking of beer, had shotgun my first beer pong, and I thought people in Milwaukee drank. Fargo's a different animal. But yeah, I always say that I was raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I grew up here in Fargo because I literally went from a teenage boy to a man here. So my time in Fargo will always be special to me. NDSU track and field, the track and field coaches, Coach Stevie Keller, Ryan Godfrey, Desiree Larson, Brent Palmer, great coaches, great people, and they didn't specifically coach me in my events, but they always made the environment fun, and we had a great time on all those road trips, and I want to thank you all for being a part of my journey. And obviously, we all know about the legendary Don Larson, a Hall of Famer. Just a great coach, obviously, but an even better person. He treated me like his own son when I was here in Fargo. The times that I didn't go home for Thanksgiving or a holiday, he would always call and check on me, make sure I was doing good. And I don't think there's a person that met Coach Larson that would say they don't like him. Well, okay, I take that back. Maybe the South Dakota track coaches after kicking their butts all those years in those championship meets. But he was just a great coach, and the one fond memory that I have of Coach Larson was 2005, which is my senior year, our first year of Division I, and it was a bittersweet year for me as a senior because we were in the probationary period. So my senior year, there was no conference meet, there was no NCAA championships, and we had what was called the NCAA Division I Independent Championships, which we all knew it wasn't the real deal. And that's where a leader steps in and, he brought us all together and said, this is going to be a different year, but it's still track, it's still Bison track, so we're going to go out there and have fun. So that season, I'd say, I'm laying out on the line. I'm going to try to set as many records as I can and just have fun. So my goal that year was to break my school indoor 200-meter record. With us going Division I, we were going to be going to bigger track meets, the big 300-meter tracks. And the first meet of the season, I just missed it by like a tenth of a second or something, so I knew at the next meet I was going to get this record. That meet happened to be at the University of Notre Dame, so I'm all pumped up thinking I'm running 200, and then Coach Lars comes up the week before the meet. So I put you, Reese, and Jared in the 400. Let's go try to get that school record in the 400. And I really didn't want to do it. Even though I had set the 400 record the year before, I was never a confident 400 runner. I was always afraid of dying at the end of the race, so I would kind of hang on, and then like the last 100 meters, I would try to catch everybody, not the way you want to run it. So at the University of Notre Dame meet, I'm like, the competition is going to be like top-notch, like what you knew about the 400, scrap it, like you got to go for it. So gun goes off, 100 meters, I'm rolling. 200 meters, I'm feeling good. 250 meters, not so good. So obviously I proceeded to die in that race. I think I finished like 4th or 5th in my heat, nowhere near the school record. And I just remember after the race, I'm laying out on the infield. Obviously I'm like discombobulated because my body was just done. And I'll never forget this. I'm sitting there looking up in the air and I see a figure appear, well, 3 of them, and then they kind of came into focus. And it was Coach Larson, and I'll never forget this. He had a stopwatch in his hand, and he looks down at me and he says, "Great first 200, not so great second 200. And I was like, yeah, you think? So obviously I went out way too fast and I proceeded to die, but then he looked at me and he said, we're going to shake that one off and let's get ready for this 4x4. And I'm like, this man has got to be out of his mind if he thinks I'm running 4x4 today the way my body felt. So the whole afternoon, I'm like trying to get myself pumped up to run this 4x4 because I know it meant a lot to him, and I didn't want to let the team down. So, we start warming up, and my legs are kind of fried. I'm like, this is not going to end well. But, he pulled us together right before the race, and he looked us all in the eye, and he said, this is big meet, but let's go show them what Bison track and field is about. So we go out there, and I think we finished 2nd or 3rd in the heat. And we ran 3:10:24, and the significance of that time was it smashed our school record, but it was also an NCAA Division I indoor championship qualifying time, which is big at the time. So in our first year, we already ran a time fast enough to make the NCAA meet. And, just to kind of fast forward to last year, what those guys did in that 4x4 relay team, it almost felt like, we started that journey and we passed the baton off to those guys. And I keep up with those guys on social media, and I was so proud watching those guys compete last year and set those records. And, a lot of that started with Coach Larson's leadership. He recruited a lot of these guys. So Coach Larson, I just want to say thank you for being a great coach and a great person, and I love you. And finally, I'm obviously standing up here giving a speech by myself, but you don't make it up here without great teammates and training partners. And I was fortunate to have some of the best in the nation at that time on my track team. And I'm talking about guys like Hall of Famer Andy Moore, who was here, Hall of Famer Nate Schmidt, guys that will be in the Hall of Fame. So if the committee, if you're listening, guys that should be in the Hall of Fame soon, my buddy here, Jared Essler, he's a football guy as well, great, outstanding athlete. My main man, Alan Burrell, he's a school record holder in 100, 200, another football guy. Reese Vega, who's a coach here now. Just great training partners. And I definitely don't make it up to this stage without you guys, man. So I will be back when you guys get inducted, because you guys really helped me get to this point. So I want to thank all of you guys. So wrapping up, tomorrow, Bison football. Let's go show them what the Bison program is about. Go Bison.
Congratulations, Marques. She was a seven-time state champion for Hillsborough High School and North Dakota's Class B Player of the Year in basketball before winning 5 NCAA national championships in track for North Dakota State. She was a member of the winning 4x400 relay that helped NDSU to the 2002 NCAA Division II Indoor Team National Championship. She added an individual title in the 2003 Outdoor 400-meter hurdles and won 3 NCAA championships in 2004, the Indoor 4x400 relay and the Indoor and Outdoor 800 meters. An 18-time North Central Conference champion, she won 12 individual titles in the 400, 500, 800, 1,000, and 1,500 meters, the 400 hurdles, and was on 6 winning 4x400 relays. She set 9 NDSU records and still holds the indoor mark for the 500 meters. The recipient of an NCAA postgraduate scholarship in 2004, she was a 4-time U.S. Track and Field Coaches Association All-Academic Honoree. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in school counseling. She resides in St. Michael, Minnesota, where she and her husband, former Bison track and football athlete Jared Essler, both work at St. Michael Albertville High School. The couple has 3 children, Carter, McKenna, and Kira. Please welcome into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Kinsey Coles Essler.
I can kind of prepare for this speech just like I would a track meet. The nerves are real. You kind of eat, you prepare, you get in the back room, kind of prepare for your race. So now I'm here. The gun has gone off. So truly, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. It is truly an honor to be here. It's very humbling, very emotional, just because I love NDSU so much, and my time at NDSU was so special. That this is just truly an incredible honor, so thank you. It's very exciting to get into the Hall of Fame with former teammate Marques. Marques and I spent many bus trips together, so congratulations to him. And then, of course, Lynn Dorn, athletic director, just pioneered for women's sports, so thank you for your leadership with that. Just few other people to recognize. My parents are with me today. I'm very grateful for their leadership in our family. My parents were always one to support us and never pressure us, and that is truly a gift. My racing was my own, and they were just there to cheer me on. So very great parents. I have 2 siblings here. I'm one of 5 siblings, so 2 are out of state, but Caden and Kylie are here, so thank you for taking the time to be here. Always great supporters, truly a good family, and always there for me. To my husband Jared, who's also here, that's the coolest part about track and field, is that you are training with the men's team, and we're just one team together, which is great because you can really push yourself, but then you also meet people. So that's how I met Jared, former football player and track athlete. And so he, has to leave at about 2 o'clock. So he's the head football coach at STMA. So he's heading back tonight to coach against the Minnetonka Skippers. So good luck. And then he is coming back tomorrow. So busy weekend for us all. But then my kids are here also. So they're at the age to kind of understand what's going on. So Carter is 11, McKenna 10, and Kira 8. So Carter's a true sports fan. When I told him about the Hall of Fame, he quickly was like, when can I tell my friends? And he was pretty excited. Tonight is STMA's homecoming, where Jared and I both work too, and so our middle daughter was very concerned about missing her 6th grade homecoming. So I told her, don't worry, this is gonna be a fun event too. You will have many other STMA homecoming events to go to. And then Kira, our 8-year-old, has brought the excitement in the house. So if you hear her at the Dome yesterday or tomorrow at the football game, she's got the Bison first down chant ready to go. So she's been bringing the excitement the last few weeks with that. So it's truly great to have them here on campus, to see where Jared and I have met, and to meet all the people that have influenced us. Thank you to my supportive friends. I have Bison friends that I've met through all areas of the sports, and some are not even athletes, but they're here supporting me and my 2 high school friends. I have a lot of friends in the teaching field, so if you know what it's like to take a personal day as a teacher, they're few and far between, so I'm very humbled that you would take time off to be here to support me today. Now the next few is just memories, summing up my NDSU experience. In the next few minutes will be very tough, but I just truly felt that NDSU brought so much family to me. When I walked into the BSA was the hub of NDSU athletics. You met all the coaches, you met all the athletes, and the front office staff. I just truly felt that family feeling, and that is something that I will never forget. Just having that support system, all are part of my success that I had. Some other thank yous go out to my teammates. I was recruited in a time where there was one of the strongest senior classes, and to me, that is what brought me to NDSU. I was under leadership of Jill Thieler and Kristen Bachmeyer. Both were very good role models for me. I got a special message from Andy Knoll's husband today, telling me how proud Andy would be of me standing up here today. And Andy is one that instilled confidence in me as a freshman. She was a senior. Conference meet, you're nervous, right? You're a freshman trying to help your team win it all. And she is the one that really brought the confidence in me that I could do great things. So just very special teammates for me. For me, the individual events were fun, but the relays are what brought me so much joy. And so I had many fun times running around Drake with the victory lap, the blue oval. I cannot ever forget about the times of the conference meet when all of your teammates are around. The 4x4 is the last event, and all your teammates are around cheering you on. Those are the times that just bring you chills. And I can't forget our national championship wins. One of the most memorable relays was winning the indoor 4x4 in 2002 and 2003. Another strong memory was winning the national team indoor championship as a sophomore. That is something that not everyone gets to experience. Winning a national team championship is truly an indescribable feeling, as it took every team member to step up. It was a surreal experience, and something that I just still can't believe had happened. Lastly, I can't thank the coaching staff at NDSU enough. From Coach Larson, who actually helped to recruit me, to Coach Keller, Coach Palmer, and Coach Brightsman. I am so thankful for your support and in all the encouragement that you gave me. My main coach was Ryan Godfrey, and I truly believe my success at NDSU came from Godfrey's leadership. Ryan was such a dedicated coach to our team, and he was very dedicated to helping me. I was lucky to have Ryan during his younger years, as he served as also not only my coach, but a training partner. So if he wrote a crazy workout, he knew that he was probably going to have to tag along in some of it. Ryan always encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. Just one thing, he always instilled confidence in me. And one story that I have, I think I was a sophomore, and he had said, "You're going to run the 400 hurdles at the Kansas relays," and I was like, okay, great, that seemed normal. And as he walked away, he told me that Tanya Buford Bailey was also going to be in the race, and I was like, well, I was young, naive, just learning the sport, and so I went, I don't even know if we had Google in college, but I remember looking on the internet and thinking, uh-oh, she's an Olympian. Like, Ryan is going to have me run in a race with an Olympian, and that just kind of set me up for the future, that I should always be ready for that. One thing is that I never doubted Ryan's plan. I had complete trust in his plans for my career. He is one that instilled confidence in me, and I could do crazy doubles at conference meet, that not only could I run cross country, but I could compete. And he helped me set goals to win national titles, and was the first to put the thought in my head that he believed that I could qualify for the Olympic trials. After my junior year, I had just won the 400 hurdle title, and Ryan called me in the summer, and he said that he was going to change my my path in track. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, I think we're going to be done with the 400 hurdles, and we're going to train strictly for the 800. It seemed kind of odd, as I had just won a national championship in the 400 hurdles, but I trusted in his plans. He felt that that was probably the best way for my route to make the Olympic trials qualifying time. So what that meant for me to train for the 800 would mean that I ran more miles. And so that would mean that in the fall, instead of doing my fall training, I was now going to be running with the cross-country team. So I'm very thankful for all my cross-country teammates, Aaron Keller and the cross-country team, for taking me along on those long miles, where most of the time it was probably Aaron doing all the talking and I was just trying to hang on. And when Ryan had told me, he said, Kinsey, okay, here's the plan. Your first cross-country meet is going to be in Brookings, South Dakota. And I looked at the date in my calendar, and I was looking through things this summer. If you know anything about being a runner, you know that we keep journals. We log our miles, we track our times, our reps, all that kind of stuff. But I had wrote down that Ryan had me set to go to Brookings, South Dakota to run cross country, and I looked at the race, much like my daughter McKenna did, and I was like, wait, I can't race in Brookings. It's the UND NDSU football game. I have plans, Ryan. I can't do that. But obviously, I ran in the cross-country meet, and I'm sure kept up on the score to the NDSU UND football game. In general, I can't be more proud of my time as a Bison. Both Jared and I work at the same high school, and everybody knows about our Bison pride at STMA High School. We've taught them the horns up. Everybody knows about the green and gold, and that truly comes from our experience. We've loved our time here at NDSU. We cherish it, and we are very proud of it. So I just want to extend my gratitude to the Hall of Fame Committee, the university. My experience was just exceptional. And thank you to all my coaches. Athletics had taught me so many life lessons that I still take with me today. So thank you very much. Go Bison.
This football, hockey, and baseball standout from small-town Fairmont, Minnesota, became an All-America linebacker and Super Bowl champion. A 1976 honorable mention and 1977 second-team All-America pick, he was the 1977 North Central Conference Most Valuable Defensive Back and selected as team captain and Most Valuable Player of the 77 Bison. He led the Bison with 120 tackles in 1976 and 136 stops in 1977, finishing his career third at NDSU with 320 total tackles. He was one shy of the school record with 23 tackles against Mankato State in 1975, which is still fourth most in school history. He earned a degree in social science education at North Dakota State and a master's in secondary education administration at Northern Michigan, but went on to a long college and professional coaching career. He was an assistant coach at Northern Michigan, Western Michigan, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Boston College, and Notre Dame before working as a special teams coordinator in the NFL from 2001 until his retirement after the 2018 season. He coached the NFL's top-rated special teams unit 5 of his 6 seasons with the Cleveland Browns and coached 1 year with the Atlanta Falcons before spending 11 seasons as special teams coordinator and associate head coach with the Baltimore Ravens, where he was part of 3 division titles and the 2012 team that won the Super Bowl. Hired last week by the Denver Broncos as a senior assistant, he has recruited and trained 4 place kickers and 5 long snappers currently in the NFL who came into the league as undrafted free agents. He and his wife Sherry have 3 children: Megan, an assistant to the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens; Jared, a professional hockey player for the Dallas Stars; and Margaret, a registered nurse. We proudly present for induction into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, Jerry Rosburg.
Good afternoon, everybody. So good to be back home. I come before you today with my heart's like all swollen and my shirt's a little tight, and it's really full of gratitude. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to come back here and really to be back part of the family. The coaching profession takes you in a lot of different directions, and for many, many years, I was wandering out there amongst them, and then I retired, and Coach Entz and Matt Larson, I'm so grateful for you guys to kind of reel me in, so to speak, to bring me back to Fargo and be part of this program that I love so much. There's Matt. Thank you, Matt. I mean that sincerely, because this is something that travels with you when you go out. This program, football program, and all programs in general, but specifically the football program, is so widely respected. Saturday morning meetings in the NFL, the players typically wear their college garb, and there's a lot of, let's say, chirping going on. Friendly wagers, just friendly, of course, because gambling is illegal in the NFL, as you all know. So friendly wagers are made, and there's a lot of talk, and it's great fun. And I can tell you that they pretty much left me alone, because they knew I was from North Dakota State. The Alabama guys got after me a little bit, but everybody else, when you're from North Dakota State and you're a Bison, they respect you. And especially in years recently, there's so many NFL players from this institution. I want to thank the administration here, and I want to thank my beloved university. I want to thank the committee for this great honor. I want to congratulate my fellow inductees and all those before me. And I also want to thank Roy C. Peterson, who many of you know was one of the visionaries of this athletic program and is a dear friend of mine in my years here, both as a player, but my years at Shanley High School. He, as I understand it, I believe he helped found this Athletic Hall of Fame, and I saw his picture out there, and it made me smile. I want you to meet a couple people that are here with me today. First of all, my wife Sherry is sitting over here, and her first time in Fargo. She really looks good in green and gold. I want you to know that. She's adjusting quite well to the environment. So Sherry Rosburg, my dear wife. My children, as you heard, are a little busy right now, so they weren't able to join us. But I love you, honey, and I'm so proud of the children that you raised much on your own, because, as you all probably know, coaching is a tough gig. And you're away a lot, and your wife has a lot of responsibility, and I'm proud to say that our children are pretty well adjusted young adults, and much of the credit goes to my wife. The second recognition I'd like to make is to my teammates and classmates. We went on a little mission about 5-6 months ago to gather together our class of 1974 freshmen that came in. And we had 16 of us, well, 17 counting me, and we got a hold of 15, which is it's pretty good. And I'm proud to tell you that today we had a couple of late cancellations due to circumstances beyond their control, but we have 13 of my teammates here today that I'm so proud of. And please, John, would you all please stand up and be recognized? These are my teammates I'm so proud of. This group of men left this institution and did great things. They were great teammates and great players, no doubt, but amongst that group you have first responders and educators and entrepreneurs and business managers and engineers, and I'm looking down the line, and a general in the United States Army, for crying out loud. And we've got great leaders and community servants in this group, and you should all be proud of the people you're putting out from your university, and that is a great representation of exactly that. So thank you, men, for all that you mean to me. There's a process that goes on at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, and they have it in a room about this size. It's called the train station. It actually is an abandoned train station they turned into a convention center. And when the prospects arrive, the coaches invade and the scouts invade, and they all get together in a room much like this, and the tables are about set up like this. They're crammed in there because there's so many people that need to meet each other. Well, the special teams coaches had this idea that we would, instead of individually interviewing these kicking prospects, that we would set up a round table, and there'd be 10 or 12 of us that'd be around the tables and talk to these guys, and we rotate. It was a great system. Well, some idiot coaches asked some inappropriate questions, and things kind of got out of control, as you probably heard about. And then the whole interview process kind of deteriorated because of that. But you'd sit around the table, and then there'd be long pauses. It's like nobody wants to answer a bad question, you know. So they just sit there and look at each other. So I came up with this idea, and when those pauses would happen, I would just say, "So what's your story?" And it seemed like a good way of getting the conversation started. So with that in mind, I'm going to kind of do that with myself, just kind of get the conversation started. What's your story, Jerry? Well, here's my story. So my story is I'm from a little farm town in southern Minnesota called Fairmont. And I had a Wonder Woman for a mother. Her name was Mavis. And she raised 4 boys, all linebackers, as a matter of fact, because Dad was away a lot, much like Sherry's experience with me. And my father was a World War II POW veteran and hero in my mind. A hard-edged guy, you know, hard-edged guy. He was a construction foreman, and he had a huge heart. His nickname was Big Stone, so you can kind of imagine what my dad was like. And he had a big heart, but he also had demons, big demons chasing him. And I tell people that it took 45 years. Hitler wounded him in 45, and it took him 45 years to die from those wounds. But my dad was really a pillar for all of us, but he also had vulnerabilities. And when I grew up in my little hometown, it always seemed like, you know, there's more out there. I went back to my 40th class reunion for the first time after I retired. The weekend before, I got to watch Trey Lance make his college debut in Minneapolis, so that was a good weekend. And I had a former classmate and neighbor was talking to her at this reunion. She said her husband just loved this little hometown that I came from. And I said, Kathy, man, I come back to this town, and it looks so peaceful, and it's so idyllic, and it's just wonderful. But all I remember is chaos. It just seemed like chaos when I was here. And I think in evaluation, the chaos was me. It wasn't the town, you know? That's really what happened. And what I needed, and Coach Entz, Matt, when Matt called me, and first of all, he put on a little head fake. He started talking about spring clinics and things like that. And then he jumped in. He said, oh, by the way, and he broke the news to me. And after I recovered my composure, Matt, you may recall, I said, I just needed someplace to go. You know, I gotta get out of here. You know, I love my mom, I love my dad and my brothers, but I gotta go somewhere. And so in January of 1974, Hall of Famer from North Dakota State, Ardell Wiegand, walks into the door in Fairmont High School. And my high school coach, Tom Mahoney, says, there's a guy from North Dakota State that would like to talk to you. Would you like to spend a few minutes with him? I said, yeah, sure. Can I get out of math class? He says, yeah. So go ahead. So I went in. And this high school I went to was a fortress. There zero windows in the whole building. And Ardell and I were in a little counseling room about as big as this space here, about 4 feet wide and about 8 feet long. And he sat across this table from me, and with his steely blue eyes, those of you that know him know what I'm talking about. And he had a butch Marine cut, and I'm a long-haired geek from southern Minnesota. And he's looking at me, and he's kind of breaking the ice, and he says, do you know anything about North Dakota State University? Yes, sir. I saw you play on TV last week. You got those green uniforms. You got that fullback named Deutsch. Bill Deutsch. Silence. Total silence. And he looks at me and says, listen, son, there's 2 schools in the North Central Conference from North Dakota. Bill Deutsch plays for UND. I'm from North Dakota State. Yes, sir. Upon my visit, there was no doubt where I was going to go. So that was the before story. The during story is this. I came here and around the strength and character and friendship of my teammates, I kind of built a scaffolding around myself and tried to make something of myself and manufacture a new guy. I don't know if there's any blues fans around in the tables, but I'm a big fan of the blues, and there's a blues legend named Robert Johnson. And the story is that Robert Johnson, all he did was make noise with his guitar, and he was walking along the road one time and had a confrontation. They said it was with the devil, and he sold his soul, and he went back, and then he suddenly had all the skill, and he became the master of the Delta Blues. Well, that was kind of a crossroad. When I got to NDSU, it was time to change. It was time to be better. And this university and this athletic program, my teammates, my coaches, Ardell recruited me, but Brad Monroe taught me the techniques. Jim Driscoll was my mentor both then and now, and Eb Gelbertson recruited me, and I can. Those of you that have ever been in college athletics have an understanding of how difficult it is to recruit a class like that. Now that's a recruiting class. So all those coaches get a great deal of credit for bringing those men together. But those are my guys. That was my tribe, man. That was my home. That's where I felt comfortable. That's where I drew strength from them. And then in a putrid, smelly wasteland of Anniston, Alabama locker room, it all ended. Tragically, I think, and unfairly, I think, but that's another story. But then we're all on our own again, we're out there. We're out there, and these guys went on to great things. And, well, I couldn't find a job, so I went back to southern Minnesota and started, stayed with mom and dad. I started working for my dad at Big Stone. That was no picnic, but it was good, though. They took care of me, so hopefully next time around I can get a teaching job. Well, I got sent up to northern Minnesota, up on Highway 200. And if you've driven along the north woods up there, Highway 200 intersects Highway 65 going north and south. And there's a gravel pit right on the northeast quadrant of that area. That was our gravel pit for this road construction company. I stopped with my wife and I pointed it out on our way here. Well, I wasn't working for my dad anymore. I was working for this little tyrant foreman. He's about as tall as this podium, maybe. And, I was bored. I was really bored. I was driving this truck and there'd be long, inactive periods. I'd squirt water on the road and I'd sit and wait. And I'd squirt water on the road and sit and wait. And this one day, right at the crossroads, right at this gravel pit, one of the other guys broke down. So I abandoned my truck and I ran up there in my boots. I needed some exercise and I wanted to help. And so the little tyrant starts cussing me out. And so I walked out the crossroads and kind of looked around. And Highway 200 goes to Fargo. And we're working on 65. So I can take a right and go to Fargo, or I can just keep doing what I'm doing. I got fired that day, and I came to Fargo. Next year, I got a job at Shanley, and that kind of started the ball rolling. So thank you for firing me, I guess, is the lesson there. So that's the immediately after story. The bigger story is Jack Harbaugh became the sons, you probably know better, John and Jim Harbaugh. Jack Harbaugh became a great friend and a mentor for us, and he had a great expression when he talked to young coaches. And he had this hierarchy of advice in reverse order. Number 3 was, have a passion for what you're doing. And so in the coaching business, that's certainly necessary because you kind of have to like what you're doing as opposed to road construction. The idea being that, be able to sustain, be able to hang in there, look at yourself, try to tear yourself down and evaluate yourself and get rid of that which you don't need and become better and move on and have the energy to carry through the times when it's really difficult. And the second one was work hard because they're smarter than you are. That's what he would tell us all the time. One time I said to Jack, is it work hard because maybe they're smarter than you are? And Jack said, no, they're smarter than you are. And he's probably right. So it takes a lot of effort to do that coaching business, and it's very, very much a one-track thing, and things outside of coaching when you're spending all the time in the office get lost. So through the jobs that I took, that was pretty much it. You'd move on, you'd go somewhere else, and you'd say goodbye to people, and you'd go on and move on. And then one particular job, I was at Western Michigan, and I was ready to move on again. I was pulling my anchor, and I was going to University of Cincinnati. But, God had a different plan. And Sherry and I decided to get married. And so she came along at that point for the ride and the coaching, and if there's any coaching wives out there, I admire you greatly. But there's no way that I could have ever advanced in the profession and had a life without having Sherry by my side. And honey, I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. And the last thing that Jack Harbaugh said, of course, was marry wisely. There's the evidence. I don't think I was wise. I think I was just blessed. So here we are today in Fargo as a result of all those years, and now I'm retired. Kind of. But you look back on the career and you try to put things together and find out, well, what are you going to do now? And people ask me often, well, what are you doing? And I, semi-tongue-in-cheek, I express, I'm in a relentless pursuit for truth. It kind of disarms them, but there's a little bit of validity to that because I am a bit in search for truth. There's a lot more time to evaluate and think and read and listen. And the one thing that I think that I've derived from my coaching profession that Coach Entz, I hope you and your staff and all the other coaches in here are able to do as well, is that we need each other. If there's the biggest reward in coaching is the gift you get from the relationships that are a byproduct of the coaching. You don't coach to have relationships because that's failure. You're not going to build up players. You're not going to be honest with them. If you're trying to make their friend, you're not going to be a good coach. If you're trying to make them a better player, and a relationship comes as a result of that, then you're doing it right. And I'm so blessed with so many relationships that I've had over the years. I'm going to tell you one story. I think this is my one of two stories. I think I'm allowed. So I'm doing a little consulting work for an analytics company. I'm down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this last year. And my phone rings, and I'm with this guy that's driving, and my phone rings. It's one of my former players. And I said, Anthony, what's up? And I said, you okay? And because he hasn't called me for a while. I said, yeah, Coach, I'm good. I said, what's going on? He says, well, I had to call you. And I said, well, what's happening? He says, well, today's my dad's birthday, and as you know, my dad passed, and I wanted to talk to him, but I couldn't. So I called you. Doesn't get any better than that. So that's what I got out of coaching. And this university, and these men, and that woman, And my children, Megan, Jared, and Margaret, whom I love greatly and are not able to be here, that I wish I could share with them, they're the ones that put me up. You are the ones that raised me up and allowed me to do that. And for that, I am forever grateful. Well, that's my story. Hail the Bison.
Congratulations to all of our inductees today. There was a recurring theme that went through everyone's speech. Did you pick up on it? Family. Every one of them talked about their family. Bison pride is family. At this time, I'd like to direct your attention to the video screens and join the NDSU concert choir in the singing of the yellow and the green.
Oh, a cheer for green and yellow, up with yellow and green. There the shades that deck our prairies, far and wide with glorious sheen. Fields of waving green in springtime, golden yellow in the fall. How the great high-arching heaven looks and laughs upon it all.
And now it is our pleasure to unveil the names of the 2022 Bison Athletic Hall of Fame class in our permanent display here at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude today's ceremony, we ask that all the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame inductees please meet on stage immediately following the ceremony with your awards so you can take a group photo. And a reminder for everyone, please join us for the NDSU Homecoming Parade this evening in downtown Fargo. The parade begins at 5:30 on Broadway between NP Avenue and 4th Avenue. Tonight at 6 o'clock, the Bison women's soccer team will be in action against St. Thomas at Dakota Field. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Bison volleyball takes on Kansas City at the Benson Bunker Fieldhouse, followed by a 1 p.m. kickoff for the Bison football team against Youngstown State at the Fargo Dome. Thank you for attending today. Once again, congratulations to our newest members of the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, and go Bison!